Your Majesty, the darkness encroaches. We must unite.
Your kind has broken oaths before.
This time is different. The threat is real.
Lieutenant Marcus Webb had led the defense of the Thesseran colony on Keithel 5 when raiders attacked. For 18 brutal hours, he and his platoon held the line while civilians evacuated. He made difficult tactical decisions that saved thousands of Thesseran lives, though the cost to his own unit was devastating. By the time Thesseran military reinforcements finally arrived, the colony was secure, but Marcus had lost half of his people. The Thesseran Empire was deeply grateful. Keithel 5 was a major colony world, and thousands of their citizens had survived because Marcus had faithfully carried out the Alliance's military obligations. Queen Surilith personally summoned him to the imperial palace for a formal ceremony in recognition of his actions. Marcus attended expecting the usual rewards, medals, commendations, maybe even a promotion within the Alliance structure. It was standard recognition for a successful defense operation. But he did not expect what actually happened. The ceremony was conducted with full Thesseran formality. Hundreds of nobles filled the grand hall. Traditional music echoed through the chamber. Speeches were delivered in Thesseran, translated in real time into human standards so Marcus could understand. He received several medals representing the Empire's gratitude, along with official recognition of his tactical brilliance and the title of Honored Defender within the Alliance. Then Queen Surilith made an additional announcement, one that caused Marcus's translator to struggle slightly while explaining the cultural meaning. For extraordinary service in defense of Thesseran lives, the Queen declared, demonstrating valor and tactical excellence that preserved our people, we present an additional honor. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, please accept Lyra Thelvin, daughter of House Thelvin of the Third Circle, to serve as your companion and honor your achievements in our defense. A young Thesseran woman stepped forward. She was beautiful by the standards of nearly any species. Her long, elegant ears were decorated with formal jewelry that indicated her noble status. She wore ceremonial robes of intricate design. With perfect grace, she bowed before Marcus. The assembled court applauded. Queen Surilith smiled with clear satisfaction. And finally, Marcus realized what was happening. They were giving him a person as a reward. Marcus stood silently before the Thesseran court, trying to process the situation while still maintaining diplomatic composure. His cultural training had prepared him for many things: Thesseran etiquette, ear-position communication, dietary customs, and religious traditions. But nowhere in the briefing materials had it mentioned receiving a person as a gift. The Queen seemed to expect gratitude. The nobles watched with approving expressions. Lyra herself stood calmly, her face neutral and perfectly controlled, revealing nothing about how she truly felt about being presented to a human soldier like a trophy. Marcus made a decision that would almost certainly cause a diplomatic incident. But he could not see any alternative that didn't betray everything he believed. Your Majesty, he said respectfully, I am deeply honored by your generosity and the recognition you've shown me, but I cannot accept this gift. The throne room instantly fell silent. Where I come from, Marcus continued, people are not gifts to be given, no matter how noble the intention or how great the honor meant to be conveyed. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I must respectfully decline. Queen Surilith's long ears shifted in a complicated movement that Marcus's translator identified as surprise, confusion, and possibly offense. You refuse? The Queen asked. Do you find the gift inadequate? Lyra Thelvin is of noble lineage, extensively educated and trained in diplomacy and cultural exchange. I'm sure she's extraordinary, Marcus said quickly, realizing he might be making things worse. But she's a person, not a reward. Accepting her would imply she's property being transferred from your authority to mine. That's not compatible with my values, and I hope it isn't compatible with hers either. Then Marcus did something even more unusual. He turned directly toward Lyra. Do you want this? He asked. Did you choose to be here, or were you told it was your duty? Lyra's calm expression cracked slightly. She looked shocked, perhaps because someone had asked her opinion. It is a great honor to be selected to serve a war hero, she answered carefully. My family is immensely proud that I was chosen. It reflects great prestige upon House Thelvin. That's not what I asked, Marcus said gently. I asked if you want this, not whether it's an honor, not whether your family is proud. Do you personally want to be given to me as a reward for military service? The throne room was completely silent. Apparently, this was not a question people asked in Thesseran society. Lyra looked at Marcus, then at the Queen, then back at him again. Her ears moved in subtle patterns of emotion Marcus couldn't interpret. I was raised to serve the Empire in whatever role brings honor to my house, she said slowly. This is service. This is honor. Whether I personally want it is not considered relevant in our culture. It's the only relevant question, Marcus replied firmly. Your Majesty, he continued respectfully. I understand this is meant to honor me. I know Lyra has been trained for this role, and her family considers it a great distinction. But I cannot accept a person as a gift, regardless of cultural context or good intentions. Doing so would violate everything I believe about dignity, human dignity, and the dignity of all sentient beings. He paused, then added calmly, if Lyra wants to spend time with me as her own free choice, I would be honored to know her, but not as a reward, only if she chooses it for herself. Queen Surilith's voice hardened slightly. You insult the generosity being offered. You insult Lyra's family. You suggest our traditions are beneath your moral standards. I'm not judging your culture, Marcus said carefully, but I cannot ignore my own principles. Respecting someone's autonomy is not something I can compromise. The throne room erupted with murmurs as nobles whispered urgently to one another. Then Lyra spoke, not to the queen, not to the court, but directly to Marcus. You asked what I want, she said quietly. No one has ever asked me that before. Her voice grew stronger. Every decision in my life has always been made by others, what I study, how I serve, what alliances I represent. It has always been about duty, honor, and family pride. But no one has ever asked what I want. Her ears lifted slightly. I want to choose, she said. I want to know what it feels like to have my preference matter. She looked directly at Marcus. So yes, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, I choose to spend time with you, not because I was given as a gift, but because you gave me something no one else ever has. The option to choose for myself. The room fell silent again, this time with a different feeling. Queen Surilith studied Lyra carefully, then looked back at Marcus. You have disrupted what was meant to be a traditional ceremony, she said slowly. But perhaps there is wisdom in questioning traditions we follow without examining whether they truly serve the people they claim to honor. She turned to Lyra. You wish to choose this path yourself? Yes, Your Majesty. Then this will not be a gift, the Queen declared. It will be a choice. Lyra Thelvin, you are released from any obligation connected to this assignment. If you choose to spend time with Lieutenant Webb, it will be your decision alone, not a duty to the Empire. She then looked at Marcus. And Lieutenant Webb, you have reminded this court of an uncomfortable truth, the difference between honoring someone and treating them as property. Perhaps it is a lesson our empire needed. Months later, Marcus and Lyra did spend time together. Not as reward and prize, not as gift and recipient, but simply as two people learning about each other across cultures and species. Their relationship grew slowly and naturally, built on the moment Marcus refused to treat her as property, and Lyra chose to stay anyway. Years later, when people asked Marcus how they met, he always answered with simple honesty. The Thesseran Empire tried to give her to me as a reward for military service, he said. I refused because people aren't gifts. So I asked her what she wanted instead, and Lyra would add her own part to the story. He was the first person who ever treated me like someone with a choice. The story eventually became famous across human and Thesseran diplomatic circles. The tale of the soldier who refused a reward, because the reward was a person. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.